everyone. I'd like to invite you to the art of Sabbath cuisine. My name is Diane Hackney and I am your host. This evening we're making buffalo cauliflower, sweet potato fries, and barbecue meatballs in a sub. And we're going to get started. Your kids will learn to love cauliflower. We're going to take the cauliflower and make florets. Just kind of tear it apart. And of course this cauliflower don't want to tear apart very easily. So we're just going to use a knife and have florets. And as you can see, some of them are just popping off, others aren't, but that's okay. We're going to keep working with it. As you can see, this one is trying to be a little bit difficult, but we're going to get in there and get our florets. I didn't start liking cauliflower until I was 50. The only way I wanted cauliflower was raw. So I've learned now to eat it cooked. Okay, we've got our florets. Some of them are a little bit chunky, but that's okay. And I'm going to put these back in here for right now because we're going to use this bowl to mix up our batter that goes on this. We're going to use 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour, a teaspoon of paprika, 2 teaspoons of granulated garlic, a teaspoon of salt. We're just going to kind of mix that up a little bit. And then we're going to use 3/4 cup of milk. And it's up to you what you use, but I'm using almond milk. And so we're going to use 3/4 cup of that. And I've only got a 1/4 cup measurement, so I'm just going to do it 3 times. Then kind of whisk that together. Get it kind of smooth. And then we're going to take our florets and dip them in there. This is a little bit stiffer than I like. So I'm going to add just a tad bit more milk. Because for this I actually used the gluten-free flour because I have a friend that I want her to have some, so I decided to use gluten-free. And then we're going to take our florets, drop them in there, and get them covered, and then put them on a cookie sheet with parchment paper. We're back. I'm going to put a little bit of oil on our parchment paper, on our cookie sheet, and just take your fingers and kind of spread that on because the cauliflower will stick a little bit. So this will keep it from sticking to the parchment paper. So we just take our florets and place them on the cookie sheet. And we'll do several of these. So we're just making sure they're coated well. And you'll see that they're really, let me just take this out So don't need that right now. And we'll just continue to coat until we get our pan full. It's a simple recipe. It's a little bit messy, but you can always get the kids to help you with this. They will enjoy it, especially now since some of us are homebound and the kids are there. This is something that you can get their help. They can be doing this while you cut up the potatoes. We'll fill this and then we'll put it in the oven. We'll set the oven for 450. Make sure these are coated well. You'll be surprised of the flavor. Okay. We'll do one more here. But you can make enough to do this whole cauliflower. Okay. Now, we'll pause. Let me wash my hands and get this in the oven. While we're waiting for the oven to preheat, we want to make sure that the oven is at 450. Otherwise, it'll overcook, and we want to make sure that we put it in the oven for 20 minutes and be able to flip it over. So while we're waiting for that, for the oven to get there, we're going to make our sauce that's going to go on there. You can choose whatever kind of buffalo sauce that you like. I tend to like Sweet Baby Ray's buffalo sauce. So we're going to use 1/3 cup of the buffalo sauce. We're going to use 2 tablespoons of oil. I tend to use the grapeseed oil, but it's up to you what type of oil that you would like to use. You can use any good vegetable oil. And I measured my oil first so that when I measure my 1 tablespoon of honey, it won't stick to my tablespoon. It'll slide right off. So we'll put that in there. And see, it slides right off. It doesn't stick at all. So all I'm going to do is just mix this up and have it ready when our buffalo cauliflower comes out of the oven. So now our sauce is ready. And now I can kind of clean this up and go on and cut our potatoes, because we're going to put our potatoes in the oven right with our buffalo wings, so they'll come out somewhat at the same time. So I'll be right back. Now at 450, I'm going to put the cauliflower in there for 20 minutes. Halfway through, I'm going to flip them. The next item on our menu is the sweet potato fries. And I want to go on and get those in the oven while the cauliflower is cooking. So we're going to peel our potatoes. I have already washed them, so if you're one of those that like to have your skins on, you can. Just take a brush, scrub them well, and then cut them as you would for French fries. So we'll do that. They've been scrubbed, but I'm going to go on and peel them. You know, there's 2 schools of thought with that some people think is just healthier to leave the skins on. So it's your choice. However, whatever makes it easy for you. And then I'm just going to slice them, and you know they can be a little bit hard, or my knife needs to be sharpened. And then just slice them into your French fries. This is just a healthy way of doing it. Of course, we all love our fries deep fried. I'm one of those. But we're going to learn how to eat a little bit healthier as we go along. Okay, I'm going to take these and put them in my bowl. And you can kind of decide. I usually do maybe about, for this many fries, we'll probably do about 1/4 of a cup of oil. And we're just going to pour that on there. Get your hand in there and make sure that the oil covers these potatoes very well. And then you can season these however you like. I'm going to add a little cinnamon and a little bit of salt. I'm just going to sprinkle whatever you choose to do. I like a little spice on mine, so I tend to add a little Creole. That's me. I just like a little zing to mine. So just sprinkle a little bit. And the same thing with the cinnamon. You know, the cinnamon helps to kind of bring out the flavor of the potatoes. So we're going to do that. Again, we're just mixing them well. And we're going to put them as well on the cookie sheet. Spread them out thin. And we're going to put them in that same 450-degree oven. Wish you could smell that cinnamon. It really smells good. Okay. So while those are in the oven, while they're ready, now we're going to put these in the oven as well. Hold on. Okay, we're going to open up and we're going to put these potatoes on this bottom shelf, and I'm going to fold this parchment paper down some so that it doesn't burn. I didn't do that with the cauliflower, so my paper is kind of brown. And we're just going to put these in here. And in 10 minutes, I'm going to turn that cauliflower, and hopefully by the time everything is done, that'll be ready. Now, while our potatoes and the cauliflower is in the oven, you can purchase coleslaw or you can make your own. It just depends on what you want to do. I usually like to do something really quick, and you can find any of them. This is Eat Smart, and I like this one because it's got red cabbage in it, carrots, broccoli stalk, green cabbage, and kale. And of course it's a salad mix, but I take that out. And I just put this out. I do just a little bit more chopping. Oops. Because I look for quick and easy, yet still healthy. Get it out. And like I said, I do that. And you don't have to chop it anymore. It's your preference, depending on how you like your coleslaw. But I like to do just a little bit more chopping. And with that, I like to add a little green onions. You know, I'm a Southern girl and everything tastes good with onions. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of minced garlic. And then again, I like a little Creole. You can use just salt and pepper. That's up to you, just a little bit. And I don't know whether you use mayonnaise or a vegan sauce. I tend to use a vegan sauce, and this Hellman has been pretty good, but there are lots of different ones on the market. So it just depends on what you like. So I'm just going to mix this up. And we're just going to put the coleslaw on our side. And some people like theirs a little bit juicy, so you may want to add a little bit of vegetable oil to this if you like, or a little olive oil. Some people add a little agave or a little bit of honey. That depends on the way you like it. So we've got this mixed well, and actually I'm just going to set it aside, put it in the refrigerator until we're ready to plate our meal. Be back in a minute. We're back, and now we're going to do our vegetarian meatballs. We need 3/4 cup of nuts, and I'm using a food processor because I'm going to put everything in there and get it started. So I've already chopped my nuts, 3/4 cups of nuts, 1 medium onion chopped, three ounces of cream cheese. And now if you're vegan, you can also use the vegan cream cheese. So get all that in there. A 1/2 teaspoon of sage, got it already here. 2 garlic cloves, I've got it already chopped up. 1 cup of Italian seasoned breadcrumbs. You just want to, doesn't matter if it's not level. You know, when you're baking cakes, you want to make sure everything is measured exactly, but this does not have to be exactly. A teaspoon of chili powder, and we're going to add 3 eggs. I use grain-fed free-range eggs for this, and this is what I use all the time. We got our eggs in there. We're going to add is a 1/2 teaspoon of poultry seasoning. Okay, and our last ingredient is pimento. So I have a 1/2 cup of pimentos that I'm putting in there, and mainly just kind of add color to it. Toss that in. Okay, got everything all mixed in. I don't know whether you can see that, but let me we're going to scoop them out, and you can see the red, the pimentos kind of in there. Well, I better use a spoon. So we're going to spoon these in, and it's sizzling. You want to make sure your grease is nice and hot. And I don't know whether you can see that, but that's sizzling. And that's what you want it to do, to just kind of sizzle and brown. So they're sizzling. So I'm just going to continue to just add them in there as they brown. I'll flip them on the other side. You want to make sure you get a nice brown on each side. So you can just keep putting them in there. And we'll get all these done. I tend to be a gadget person. So if you don't have a food processor, of course you can just mix all these up by hand. It will take a little time to get it blended the way you probably want it blended, but you can get it done. These will probably do better if you had a baller, but most of the ballers that I find are too small for the size meatballs that I want. And I can keep adding until I get my skillet somewhat full, and I'm kind of turning it and watching them because I don't want them to get too brown. Got a couple of them that are a little bit too brown, but I like for them to have that golden color. And you can do this in an electric skillet, you can do it on your skillet on the stove. However works for your convenience. Some of these are a little bit bigger than a walnut. See, that's nice and golden. That's what you want. There we go. So we're going to let those cook, and we'll be right back. Our cauliflower is out of the oven. One thing I didn't do was turn my parchment paper under, so you see it's kind of brown. And had we folded it under, you wouldn't have that. But see how nice and golden that cauliflower is. So all we're going to do now is just take our brush and brush our sauce over our cauliflower, and actually just put it back in for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, just so that sauce can kind of soak into that cauliflower. We want it to really taste not quite like hot wings, but real close. And I'm telling you, your kids, your family is going to fall in love with cauliflower all over again. I want to make sure this sauce is just soaking in it. Because most of you know it's the sauce that makes it right. Okay, we got a nice, and I'll hold this up so you can see it. That looks good enough to eat right now. Look at that. Nice and golden, and has the sauce right on it. I'm just going to stick it in the oven for 5 minutes. We'll be right back. Okay, I've got my sweet potato fries out the oven. They look good. They taste good. Our meal is going to be just wonderful. Ooh, just took these out the oven, and I don't know whether you can see it or not, but kind of sizzling around the edge. So these are just perfect. The kitchen smells good. Smells like hot wings. But we have a healthier choice. We have buffalo cauliflower. My timer is just going off. I do use a timer because I don't want to overcook. And if you're like me, I'm trying to do multiple things, and there have been times when I have burnt things because I've been somewhere else. So you might want to invest in a timer as well if you're one of those multitaskers. Be right back. Okay, our meatballs are nice and golden. And what I like to do is heat up my barbecue sauce, and usually I have that warming while I'm frying my meatballs. And then I just put that sauce all over my meatballs. Kind of get it, and if you notice, I'm using a nylon brush because sometimes those brushes are made with animal hair. So you want to be sure that you find like a natural bristle and see if you can find out what that bristle is made from, or just get a nylon one. So we've got it all, sauce is kind of all in there. It works better when it's hotter, when the sauce is hotter. So now we are ready to plate our food. We're going to get our meatballs in here. And we're going to put on some coleslaw. And depends on what you like. Doesn't that look good? And we've got our buffalo cauliflower. And we've got our sweet potato fries. Ooh. And we'll just kind of sprinkle those around. We have our meal is healthy, tastes good, vegetarian, and you are good to go. So I hope that you enjoy. Bon appetit. See you next time.